So here we are. Good evening, everybody. Let's see. Good. Let's take a couple of breaths, please. Breathing into your heart chakra, just to make the connection, whatever you call it, the Akashic records, or just your higher self, your spirit. Take a couple of gentle breaths, please, in your heart. And of course, I am doing the same to ask that I be the best vessel, the best channel for you. The energy goes out to this group. In fact, I've worked with you already this afternoon because I feel the energy of the group. This is actually our 4th time together. This is not a class about denial. This is a class about we need to look at our stuff so we can go beyond our stuff. So we're just kind of getting the energy together here. Good evening, everybody. This is indeed week 4. And as Mary was saying earlier, by the time we get used to it, then it's almost over, right? So I'm really enjoying myself. I don't know if you guys can feel it, but usually I start working with you maybe even 2 hours before we meet. We are focusing on the heart chakra, and indeed the heart chakra is green, and a connection, of course, to the universe, by whatever name or no name you wish to call it. We hear a lot about vibrations, right? Because everything is vibration. Even this microphone or this desk has a vibrational frequency, which is, of course, very dense because it's not, but it still has life force, otherwise it wouldn't be here. So I just want to mention just a few things about vibration, high vibrations, low vibrations. In fact, many years ago, there was a book called Vibrational Healing, and in that book, it was explained to us, of course, that all of our emotions have a vibrational frequency. And it doesn't take much to figure out that the dense emotions of fear and anger, trepidation or doubt have a lower emotional frequency than the frequency of love and the higher emotion. And it's almost like a little bit human nature, if you will, to want to focus on the higher vibration, but I want to share with you that there is actually no difference. The low vibrations contain within themselves the higher vibration, but they've just been covered up. So the energy of fear can be transformed, if you will, into love. The energy of anger and jealousy can be transformed, indeed holds within itself the kernel of compassion and kindness. So there is no such thing as a high energy and a low energy. If we're looking at the densest energy, it holds within itself the kernel, if you will, of the high vibration. So we truly want to be done with shunning the so-called low vibration, because they will keep showing up because they want to see the light, if you will. So we're kind of done with low vibrations, high vibration. We're just feeling what wants to be healed. I know that you lovely people have heard the expression, feeling is healing. And of course, so many of us right, we don't really want to feel what we need to feel in order to heal it. So low vibration, high vibration essentially is the same thing, you know. Every vibration contains within itself the kernel of the higher vibration. And indeed, for those of you who wonder, that is what I do in my private practice and with groups, if you will. When I shine the light, if you will, remember when we do our practical at the end, I've asked you a couple of times, right, to really focus on what is dense and difficult, you remember? Right? And so when I shine that beam of high voltage energy, it's almost like the challenge or the lower vibration begins to, oh, I remember. And so that's a good illustration of the work that I do when we keep sending bright, high vibrational frequency into what is dense, the layers begin to fall away. So whatever you feel you have going on in your world, and certainly I do as well, when we do our practical, it's very important to think of really what is very, very thick and what is very dense, because then the energy mastery process that I facilitate begins to almost like dilute it. And admittedly, in a group, it's a little bit weaker than if you were to work with me one-on-one, but still I feel the vibrational frequency going out for you to receive and begin to open that stagnant energy that frequently we've been carrying around, of course, for a long time. So many of us, as I was preparing for you, because I kind of prepare the whole week, you know, things come to me and I go, oh yes, like this class is never going to be delivered the same way twice, because I say things differently every time. So as I was reminded, I think it was actually Friday or Saturday, that so many of us, probably most of us, are into a dark night of the soul, where there are so many difficult things that have not sufficiently been addressed in the past, and they literally come up to be healed. So you may have heard the word dark night of the soul. To use Eckhart Tolle's language, he usually calls it a pain body. And as we know, one pain body attracts another pain body, because we're looking for resolution, right? And most people, of course, if they don't know this kind of work, they may not resolve it, and then the issue can descend into the body, if you will, which is the densest aspect of who we are. In fact, as I was driving here today, you know, healing, we of course have the mental body, we have the emotional body, we have the physical body. And in the early days of spiritual healing, like people like Deepak Chopra, they were mostly focusing on the mental body, like changing your thoughts, right? Which of course is very correct and very valid. Changing a thought is fairly easy, would you say? Yes? Then comes the emotional body, which is thicker and denser. But still, we are actively focusing on healing the emotional body, the pain body, if you will, the anger, the fear, the doubt, the mistrust. And then, of course, we have the good old physical body, right? And you can imagine that is the densest part of our being. But that is, of course, what we need to get to with practice, and because stagnation in the physical body is going to distort the energy and cause disease, if you will. Just take a breath, lovely people, take a breath. Because sometimes I can get like a little bit of an express train, right? Take a breath. And so breathe in that emotions that happened at an impressionable age, I can feel that, are imprinted and internalized. Okay, just kind of read that and then breathe it in. So most of our emotions are just like small children, right? Everything that happened, the way we were scolded, the way we were blamed for maybe something we didn't do, just as little ones, you know, we have imprinted and internalized. Just like, this is so challenging when you think of it. And I made a little bit of a joke the last couple of weeks that I've been in corporate meetings, right, where the executives are acting out what actually they internalized as little ones, right? Their various reactions had never been examined, and so they just repeat and repeat without ever having to examine what actually is imprinted. Let's kind of take a breath with that and see if we can nurse those little inner children, right? We have indeed to become, we must become inner parents to these little inner children. So we're moving today from actually the second chakra, although we have done the third, into the fourth. The second chakra is definitely the formation of all those reactionary mechanisms that got imprinted as little ones. And so when we breathe them up into the heart, those little inner children can become the delight and the evolution that we so much want, because the energy purifies and releases. Remember, we always want the law of attraction to be able to read us, right? And so the more open and the more higher our vibrational frequency, the more we are able to live in alignment, if you will, with the law of attraction, and realize that nothing is actually by accident. You know, the universe reads a vibrational frequency. So we are becoming inner parents, fourth chakra, to these little inner children, second chakra. Let's take a breath with that. And I love to, because I'm seeing it on the screen just like you are, what you can feel, you can heal. Would you like, please feel what you want to heal? It could be anger, it could be fear. Not running away from it anymore, and that can be pretty challenging, you know, because we all have challenges of things like, I don't want to know about that. So to sit, to feel without identifying. Like, I had kind of a difficult day yesterday. I'm just being free and open about it. You know, I had a tax bill, like so many of us, right, that I did not really want. And I'm pretty clear that I no longer want to react in the old way, you know, which is annoyance or anger or fear or da 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 da, you know. So to actually sit with that feeling of I just simply don't want this, and to sit and breathe with it, not recreate it because we don't want the feeling to mushroom, just simply feeling that feeling and breathing. And if it is a financial issue, you can almost be certain that financial issues have been formed probably in the womb, because most of our parents lived with the vibration of scarcity. Would you agree with that? Kind of the never enough story, right? And we've carried that over in our own systems. So feeling what wants to be healed, without spinning a mental story around it, just simply feeling, because we are maturing our emotions to full capacity. It's almost these emotions started so long ago, they're probably not even ours. And they need to be felt and matured, if you will, to full capacity. So the soul can literally envelop, if you will, those old emotions. Remember, it's not like the soul is here and the emotions are here. They're actually one, and each time we are healing or coming closer to healing these emotions, the soul awakens. It's almost like the soul envelops the ego, and the ego dissolves, right? And can stop running the show. We are actually a soul, kind of masquerading in a physical body, right? We're not some character struggling to reach into the soul. We are the soul. That is the totality of who we are. And so the pieces essentially that broke off the soul as little kids, and generationally speaking, they're just little pieces who are longing to return to the soul. That those little pieces is what's called the ego, because they usually run the show. You agree? Right? And so the soul is like waiting to embrace those little ego pieces, because the ego does not have the ability to transcend itself. So ego keeps running because it doesn't know how to change. So through the light of our hearts and our awareness, we can embrace that little ego who has been playing its own song, if you will, for so long, right? So once we feel the emotion, it's like saying to the soul, oh, okay. And the soul just comes and dissolves the ego. And then the soul can move into your body and run your life, essentially. Run your life. In this work that we are doing, we are pulling the soul through our central channel. Remember what we said, our central channel, the pranic tube down the middle of our bodies, and the chakras are located along that central channel. And each time we are working with a chakra, pointing out, you know, why it's important to keep them spinning free and open. So we are bringing in the soul, if you will, through our central channel. I'm just going to say that again. When the soul awakens, when we take a breath, when we stop the spinning, even just for a moment, the ego begins to dissolve. And if you really dedicate it, as I am, and I'm sure many of you are also, the ego begins to dissolve because you're getting like this little nudge on the shoulder, just let it go. Just let it go, right? Let the soul come in so it can dissolve the ego. By our breath, without spinning a big story around the feeling, just feel it. So let's take a few breaths with that. Do you sometimes wonder, as I do, why emotions can be so intense? Like if something difficult happens, it sometimes feels that the feeling is so intense, right? Well, I think I can give a good response to that. It's because we experience them at a very immature level before we could kind of make sense from them, if you will. So these emotions are intense because they were imprinted, just like we said at the top here, the emotions were imprinted at a very impressionable age when we don't have a sense of self, right? Everything happens outside of ourselves. We have to be fed, we have to be washed, we have to be dressed. And so frequently, I guess, dysfunctional parents and any feelings that were transmitted to us mostly and frequently through watching what they were doing, which frequently was probably not so good, right? These emotions were imprinted, if you will, at a very early age. And so something fairly small can sometimes feel like really overblown because the emotion is immature. It's old because we experience them at a very young age. And I was thinking of that quite a lot this week, that we can be functional in our daily experience. We can even run businesses. We are in meetings. We are active parents. And sometimes at a drop of a hat, right, everything regresses to childhood. And somebody will start shooting off their mouth or have some kind of a huge anxiety attack as an overreaction to something that happened at an impressionable age. Whew. Let's feel that. Take a breath. And just maybe allow something to come into your awareness. Of course, we all essentially have the same story, but in a different way, right? A very common story is just simply having cut off at the head, being smart, because that always gets acclaimed in our culture, and shutting down our intuition and shutting down what we are feeling, right? Because that was impressed upon us. You've got to get good grades and you've got to go to school, and so children at an early age, we've learned to just dismiss our feeling. We can all recall the things that were told to us, like, I'll give you something to cry about, things like that. That's very painful to little children who have no other way but expressing themselves but through crying. Let's do some breathing with this. Let's just take a little bit of a pause here and tell me, can you relate? Can you identify? And how does that feel? What we're doing through sharing a little bit is recalling back like little memories, where the soul hardened because we were told things that are essentially cruel, right? But the educators essentially kind of were doing the best that they could, right? And of course, we don't understand. It doesn't make sense when we are reprimanded. So we begin to develop defense mechanisms, like shutting people out, like, go away, this is too painful, right? Or overreacting to a bunch of things as well. Or using defense mechanisms that are simply now blocking the flow or blocking the passage of the soul through your central channel, through your, I usually call it the pranic tube, right? The pranic tube must be fairly open. Chakras must be spinning for us to be able to be fully alive, fully alive. Because all of us, we've had the same but different experiences, So if you can feel an ego formation that you feel was imprinted and internalized, like feeling badly about yourself, being reprimanded way too frequently. All these imprints freeze in the body. So I'll give you a moment or two, just breathe. Because when you breathe, things can kind of a little bit, rise to the surface. Good, I can feel that. Breathing is healing, lovely people. What you can feel, you can heal. And so thank you for welcoming kind of me poking around a little bit, because that's my job, to poke around a little bit so we can begin to loosen those difficult spaces, so they can dissolve into the light of the soul, if you will. Also, depending on your placement in the family of origin, only child, middle child, youngest child, that all affects the formation, if you will, of the ego, right? If you're a middle child, mostly middle children have, I guess, a little bit more challenges. You always hear people say, I was the baby of the family, right? And so their life frequently has been easy, but then there's different things that formed of maybe taking advantage of the fact that they were the littlest child in the family, or an oldest child frequently feels responsible. So do you sometimes, this is a collective remark, as older children, you may feel overly responsible. I have an older sister, and she was not very happy that I was born, I don't think. because now she was no longer an only child, right? And so she essentially imprinted that upon me my entire life. Like, how dare you be born and taking the limelight away from me, right? And so she was mean to me a lot of the time, right? I'm just like giving little examples, right, of the ego formations that you may be dealing with. Take a breath, please, lovely people. I wouldn't at all be surprised that you guys do the work during the week, right? when you get like, oh yes, oh yes. You're feeling a little bit stuck because this is difficult, but it gets simpler, or it gets lighter, I should say. Just breathe and remember, please, to keep your root chakra open and your foot windows open. Remember your central channel. We want to open the door for the soul. And as we essentially become aware first of the ego structures, we have to be aware of it first, and then it softens, begins to dissolve, and so the soul energy can come down the central channel. Our birth order is very important. Yes, and when we feel responsible on top of our wounding, we're not always able to cope, so then the control comes in. And we lose patience. Just do what I'm telling you and don't argue, kind of thing, right? And so you start running the show because you feel overly responsible, thereby depriving the other siblings of maturing into their own soul fullness, if you will. Yeah, soul fullness, that's a nice word. So monitoring, where are you controlling? Or if your birth order was different, how were you victimized by your birth order? Maybe an older sibling, like in my case, who was always bullying, right? And so obviously everything is perfect, and I had to learn I developed my own soul maturity, and of course that is ongoing, but at least my soul has been matured enough that the guides, the angels, if you will, the teacher, has guiding me to doing what we are doing now, and how important that is to mature your own soul, so the soul can actually dissolve the ego. Remember, the ego will just keep repeating, forever repeating, because the vibration of the ego is not able to transcend. It can only do what it's always done, right? So our soul maturity comes in, and the soul awakens and the ego dissolves, because the soul frequency is much, much higher, right? The ego is just at the same level all the time. And hence, of course, the saying, if you always do what you've always done, right, you know the rest, right? Let's take a breath. And of course, we are accustomed to seeing our drains and our gains. And the drains are essentially the prevailing vibration, of course, in the heart chakra is unconditional love. Mother, Father, God do live in the heart chakra. And in fact, when we do a practical, we're going to go deep into the heart chakra, because so many times it has layers and layers. And I want you to really breathe into your heart and just gently breathe in the love from Father, Mother, God to yourself. And of course, the ego vibrations that we are healing. Remember, the ego vibrations are dense. We carry resentments in the heart, and as long as there are resentments, the heart cannot open far enough. And of course, the lack of love, that most of us had a closed heart. Of course, it cannot be completely closed, otherwise we wouldn't be alive. But I want you to really feel, as you breathe, to open that heart and to feel the energy of green, if you will, breathing love, breathing forgiveness for yourself, for just frequently not knowing better. And then sometimes when we knew better, we still didn't do better. But that is beginning to change, to have a genuine, all-abiding love and tenderness for yourself. So, of course, we began looking at that last week, with the personal power. We awakened it last week, that your personal power, your authentic self, how are you walking through life? Are you being authentic? Are you in integrity? Integrity is usually my big thing, because when we're not in integrity, we break, if you will, that soul passage through that central channel, right? And so when there's a lack of integrity, there is no clear flow. And that's something we can really, really observe, can we not? For ourselves, right? So in the heart center, the love, in this setting, the love for yourself and all of the pain and the suffering that you thought was kind of, well, that's just life, right? Well, it is not. And as you develop a loving relationship with yourself, guess what? The energy goes out and will attract other genuinely forgiving and caring relationships. And the vibration is very powerful, attracting, yes, of course, relationship, but also financial comfort, if you will, because the vibration is going up. Financial well-being, loving and caring relationships. Just so awesome, that we're in charge of ourselves. And, we don't have to be perfect, just kind of hearing this like, oh, yes. And maybe even feeling the vibration in your heart. Feeling the color green, which is, of course, the color of Mother Earth, Mother and Father, Father Sky and Mother Earth. And feeling, if you will, that sacred marriage being made inside the heart. Because just as new life is created through the interaction of male and female, our creativity also depends on the sacred marriage of male and female. The female conceives, literally, and the male energy brings it out into the world. So feeling Mother, God, Father, God, and we're going to go just a little bit deeper into that. I'm feeling guided. I had not planned on that, but that's part of being here, right? Magic happens. If you would please for a moment, maybe close your eyes and breathing in the energy of Mother. Now, nothing at all to do with your personal mother, nothing at all to do with anything to do with a worldly mother. We are awakening the energy of the archetypal mother in your heart. Maybe you're resonating with Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, maybe. Or a female deity that you feel a resonance to. And awakening the archetypal mother. Of course, she's always there, otherwise we would not be alive. Mother, just hold in your heart. If you don't have a resonance to any other mother deity, just hold the energy of Mother. Mother God. I can feel the energy stepping forward. When you're ready, just simply go into the next step and bring into your heart chakra Father God. Nothing to do again with your personal father. This is Father God, Creator. And whomever you feel a resonance to, or nothing at all, just archetypal Father. Just stay with that. Very nice. And our next step is both Mother, Father, God, the archetypal Mother, Father, God. Without the archetypal Mother, Father, God, nothing would happen in the universe. Mother, Father, God, the creation of you, the creation of any visions, plans. Mother, Father, God, the sacred marriage within yourself, in holy matrimony, if you will. Mother, Father, God. Good. And then gently bring your attention back. And of course, I trust that you can and will revisit during the week, because we're doing the best we can with the hour that we have. I think we can all relate on the out of balance aspect. Those of us who are feeling extended sadness or grief, a broken heart, if you will, and an over-attachment and a possessiveness towards another person, which only happens when we feel empty within ourselves. So we're awakening Mother, Father, God. Male and female, no matter what your sexual interaction is like, there's always a male and a female energy. Otherwise, there can be no life without the creative energy of male and female. And just allow your particular item, because I like to keep it nice and neutral, having extended sadness and grief. Many of us have had that if we never opened and cleared the energy of the past. And of course, a broken heart is very limiting. And so let's step over as you're breathing. Always, always, always love and respect for yourself. And it's almost like challenging to teach that loving and respect for the self. Treating yourself kindly. Treating yourself when you're noticing those little ego pieces, allow them to be embraced. When you see yourself repeating the same stumbling block that you have experienced a zillion times, right? To heal the schism, if you will, between the inner parent and the inner child. Most of the people I see in my practice can be people very proficient in the world, successful, frequently successful, business, professional. And when there is an inner sadness, frequently we shun that little girl or that little boy that all it wants, it just wants to be heard. And that is, of course, what we spend our time on today, to allow the energy of the soul to embrace that little child, right? Which is your ego piece, if you will, that by itself is not able to grow up. It will keep repeating. And I think we all agree we don't want to keep repeating anymore, or we definitely want to lessen all the repeating, do we not? Can you, you don't want to share, but you certainly can, what you have kept repeating. Just bring it into your awareness. Yum. Yes, we don't want to rush through this, but if that relates to you, maybe sit on a daily basis and make the sound yum, yum, yum. If you wish to, I believe you can even purchase the sounds in the chakras. The sound is yum, yum. You can actually feel the vibration in your heart. Yes, yes, yes. So treating that little self who by him or herself is not able to change. We really got that right. Is not able to change. So the soul energy filled with love can come down that central channel and embrace that little child. So can we all relate? I think that we can actually. Whenever you find yourself repeating what you don't want to repeat, right? It could be self-judgment, it could be self-criticism that just keeps your vibration down, right? Will you please remember that the soul is coming down and embracing this little one, just feeling the hurt, because she or he needs to feel that hurt in order to really almost like pop out that old vibration. Yes, the old vibration can be embraced by the light of the soul, but in our ignorance, what most of us do, we get impatient with ourselves and we judge and we criticize. Now, obviously, I don't know much about weight loss, but I could tell right away that he was being brutal with himself. And of course, when you're being brutal with yourself, you want comfort. And where do you go for comfort? Food. Or certainly that is one of the many avenues we go to, right? So will you please remember this week, when you notice yourself not treating yourself with kindness, will you please remember to do? Right? You can even say little I love yous, or just simply feel what you don't want to feel, the pain, the disappointment again, right? And rather than starting to really beat yourself up the way frequently we do, is just sit there and feel it. And the light of the soul is being embodied and will embrace. And you're going to have to keep doing this. Remember, what we're going to do in our practical right now is me doing it for you, right? But there's many layers to this, right? And so your part, unless of course you choose to work with me one-on-one, would be to really hold yourself tenderly and not beat yourself up. Are we breathing? Good. I think we're getting ready for our practical. The practical we're going to do this evening is, of course, in line with what we've been doing, right? I would like you to remember an item. I like to keep it nice and neutral, that you really, really, really need to forgive you or want to forgive yourself for. Something that you did goofy, right? Something that was just didn't come out good. You know exactly what I mean, right? Something that you feel you need to forgive yourself for. And that you've been feeling guilty, second chakra. Just bring into your awareness, please. Something, an event that you remember, it could be old, that you need to that you want to forgive yourself for. I'm just going to give you a moment or two to bring that up into your awareness. Just kind of bring it up like a little package that you're bringing it up, and place it in the heart chakra in the middle of the chest. And recall as best you can the situation that obviously was not a favorable situation, where you took an action that was out of integrity, where you took an action that was out of alignment. Maybe you blamed somebody else, maybe you hid something, and you want to forgive yourself for having done that. Does anybody have a question on that? It's kind of clear, isn't it? Okay. Okay, so just gently breathe it up, those little ego pieces. Remember, little ego pieces just repeat because they don't know what else to do. Just bring that little ego piece and its content into the middle of the chest. And then allow your eyes to close. I'm starting the energy that is coming to you like a beam of light straight into your heart chakra. And I want you to keep thinking, please, about the misstep. You remember, I want you to focus on the dark energy so the energy can begin to pull it out. Remember, these little broken soul pieces need to be absorbed by the light of your soul. So for this practice, if you would please, focus on the pain of what you did or did not do, that you feel that you want to, in your heart, because you can only forgive yourself always, that you want to forgive yourself for. And we are beginning, and we're taking a few moments of silence, as we always do. Please keep your eyes closed, keep your attention on the heart. You can breathe in green if you want. And we have begun. If you're beginning to lose your attention on the item, just bring it back again as deeply as you can. What it is that you did or did not do, and that you truly want to forgive yourself for. And then gently bring your attention back. And just feel the soul now shining brightly, making its passage down your pranic tube, or you can call it a central channel, down the middle of your body like your central nervous system. And it may even clean up some pieces on its way that do not appear to be related, but that are related. And just feel, what does it feel like to bring the soul into your body? Of course, it's important to keep a high vibration, to provide a loving vibrational home for the soul. And then gently, when you feel yourself ready, remember that you're breathing through your central channel or your pranic tube. And gently, when you feel ready, you may open your eyes and just maybe to do maybe a little bit of stretching and just allowing your body to open all those tight little spaces. The soul wants to use your body as a playground, around the shoulders, around the neck, the head, down through your sexual areas. Providing a high vibrational home for the soul. Good. And whenever you feel ready, bring your attention now fully back in the physical, keeping the heart open, of course. Certainly bringing that little child, keeping him or her into the heart, so he or she doesn't have to flip out again into the head and cut off at the neck. He or she can begin to live into your heart and begin to and continue to clear all of those obstacles so your path can open and open and open. And taking a closing breath, feeling a lot of heat in my body. Yes, move those necks around. That's right, we all cut ourselves off below the neck, right? Those of you that I can see a lovely softness on your facial expression. Good. All right, so I'm feeling maybe a sense of completion for now, because nothing is ever complete. Life is ongoing, but the vibrational frequency has shifted, right? So bringing your hands, please, to the heart in prayer with your thumbs pointing towards the heart to kind of make the connection between the inner world and the outer world. And if I may invite you, please, to chant a lovely Om. The Om is the first vibration of the universe. Vibration that we all came in. And we're going to chant a beautiful Om. If you pull up the breath from the ground, up your central channel into the heart. Loka samasta sukhinu bhavantu. May all beings be blessed. May all beings be at peace. Have enough to eat and a safe place to sleep. Namaste, lovely people. Namaste. We're in the 5th chakra next week. Have a good week, everybody, and please do your practice. Bye-bye for now.